Good afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien speaking on Wednesday, April 24th. It's been a nice day here in Georgia. Me and my friend Bubba are just looking at the day. Been a busy day here for us, especially for me. On a personal note, if you guys look at your GoFundMe account and see mine there to help my wife with the uh, heart failure issue, let me know. But that's just personal, and I know most of you won't look at it. But here, I wanted to do a video on Mrs. Clinton. She made some comments on the impeachment proceedings that the Democrats are trying to get for President Trump. So I wanted to do a video and compare the two. And I won't call it Trumpgate because that's not what it is. It's turning out to be Demogate. Because the Democrats don't know left, right, center, or whatever. And that's what Mrs. Clinton's trying to tell them. Figure out what you want to do. But you don't know. You don't even have a cohesive strategy here. So let me fill you in. I'll call this Watergate versus Demogate. So here we are. Oh yeah, and Miss Ingram, you might want to listen too on this one. Because your bastion of Republican Party, Ronald Reagan, kind of messed up big time, and that's why he lost one of his nominations to the Supreme Court. And here it goes. Chairman Rodino issued 3 articles of impeachment. The current Judiciary Chairman doesn't have the chance because, unlike the first white counsels, special counsels for the Watergate issue, they never went to fruition, whereas Mueller went all the way to the report. So the Mueller report should be a roadmap, considered a roadmap here, but I'll come back to that later. So here we are. Chairman Rodino in 1974 issued 3 3 impeachment articles. Number 1, abuse of power. Number 2, obstruction of justice. And number 3, congressional interference. Let's compare that to Demogate. So, abuse of power. On the Watergate situation, President Nixon ordered the firing of then Special Counsel Archibald Cox. His first choice was Attorney General Elliot Richardson, who told him to go stick it. I'm not doing this. And by the way, I resign. Then he had to go to the assistant, Mr. Ruckel's house, and he told him the same thing and gave him the resignation letter. Then he went to a third line down the line there, a guy that you didn't know much about, Solicitor General, a guy that wasn't even known in 1974 but became known later because he got borked, according to you Republicans. Borked. You know, Robert Bork, Judge Robert Bork, as you call him, but he wasn't a judge back here. And Robert Bork, in his memoirs, said that he wanted to do the same thing as his predecessors did, but then Richard Nixon gave him a pro quo. You fire him, and I'll guarantee you a seat in the Supreme Court. Now, the dumb part was Robert Bork should have known better. Richard Nixon was on the way out. There was no way he was going to win because of Judge Sirica and later on another judge, but I'll let you know. So he fired Archibald Cox. Now, President Trump did not order the firing of Special Counsel Mueller, but his White House counsel, Dan McGahn, said no way, Jose. And he didn't resign at the time, but he ended up resigning. Or getting fired by President Trump, whichever you want to look at it. Okay, so if you look at that Watergate 1, Demogate, well, they haven't gone that far because they haven't interviewed Mr. McGahn on the Judiciary Committee. Number 2, obstruction of justice. Well, the firing of Archibald Cox sent a flare that everybody went yippee yahoo, and a certain judge, Gerald Giselle, looked at the case and said, hey, this was an unlawful firing. So this becomes obstruction of justice. So you see, bingo, article number 2. In the Demogate case, well, President Trump came into office. You remember? Back in 2017. And the holdover was Acting Attorney General Sally Yates. He ordered the travel ban, remember that? And she told him to go stick it. He fired her. I thought you Democrats for sure would take the old Watergate route and go over to a judge similar to Gerald Giselle and say, was this a lawful firing or not? I guarantee you it wasn't. Because he got somebody else to do the travel ban, didn't he? He went down the line. So you see, this could be abuse of power or obstruction of justice, whichever one you want to look at it. Because her case is both. It's like the Watergate Cox firing, where the judge said it was abuse of power, or it could be obstruction of justice. You can look at it both ways. And depending on what Mr. McGahn says to the House Judiciary, you have the other one. Either the obstruction or abuse of power. So between Sally Yates and Mr. McGahn, you got one too. And the third one, congressional interference. Well, didn't you guys pass the Watergate unpounded Act in 1974 for Richard Nixon? It looks like Mr. Trump has been hanky-pankying around that article. Did he really mess it up and abuse of Congress there? There's been a lot of lying in Congress. That could be considered a misdemeanor. You got who? Comey. You got Mr. Manafort. Lied to Congress. How about any other official? You can get him for that. Have you ever taken the officials that got fired and figure out why they got fired? Whether they were abuse of power or just got fired. This is something you have to do, Americans. This is your favorite alien say, you got a lot to do, Democrats, to get your Demogates going. Bye.